Good evening and welcome to Dessert and Dish. Dessert and Dish is our new weekly interview segment where I get to talk to real people who are ready to dish on the real challenges and blessings of living faithful lives. Dessert and Dish features a weekly dessert, go figure. And we try to pick something local or homemade. My experience always is that dessert makes conversations better, and we all need a little reminder of the sweetness of the kingdom of God already at work in our midst. So tonight, I am so glad to welcome Dr. Brian Kerley. This is not the first time that we've had an opportunity to sit down and have an interview. For those of you who are new joining us for Dessert and Dish, I'll just let you know that Brian Kerley is a doctor here in town. He has a family practice, and he's also the medical director of Hospice Niagara. If you've tuned in before to our conversations, then you're used to hearing us kind of sort through all of the ins and outs of this pandemic that we find ourselves in. But tonight, we're not going to talk about COVID really at all.
Not a bit.
It's like
It'll
not
be a
not on the
COVID-free night.
agenda at all. It's a COVID-free night. We are going to talk about what spiritually feeds us, particularly how music spiritually feeds us. Hopefully you had a chance to tune in previously in this past hour to Advent Cafe, because at Advent Cafe tonight we shared not all, but we've shared a variety of our favorite songs, songs that are really spiritually meaningful and impactful to us. And tonight we are going to be sharing with one another, interviewing one another, and kind of getting at why that music is significant to us. Before we get to the music, though, I do have to introduce the dessert. And so there was great rejoicing, I have to say, in this room tonight when everybody found out that we were having butter tarts for dessert. And I was out and about today. I went by 13th Street Winery. 13th Street Winery is just outside of St. Catharines. It's on 4th Avenue. They have wonderful wines, but they also have a wonderful, wonderful bakery. I have not had their butter tart before. I've had some of their other baked goods. We were chatting before all of this just about having some opinions about butter tarts. And I am always on the lookout for the ooey gooeyest, thickest butter tarts available with the flakiest pastry. So,
Scott, is there a way to get the smell of these on the live stream? It's incredible. Oh, so good.
We're not totally allowed to be serving food at the church right now. But I think that we're fine to actually eat these because they were individually packaged for each one of us. So they're according to all of the pandemic protocols. I am not going to say that word again tonight.
No COVID tonight.
But yeah, I think that we need to try out these butter tarts, and then
okay, that'll end the conversation for about 10 minutes until we get our teeth unlocked again.
Put the plug in for you to go and check out local winery, 13th Street.
Wow. Okay, there'll be a 15-minute pause while we chew.
Wow. Those are so good.
You know what? I'm going to save the rest of that.
Me too. And now we don't have napkins either.
That's right.
I didn't quite think this all through. Okay.
It's okay.
Well,
I got my iPad. I'll get it all sticky.
yeah. I'll get the microphone all sticky. It's fine. All right. Well, with the taste of butter tarts in our mouths, how could this conversation not be wonderful, right?
Absolutely.
Brian, the first song that you picked was If a Tree Falls by Bruce Cockburn. I have to say that both Bruce Cockburn and Leonard Cohen were introduced to me by one of my great mentors in ministry, Michael Thompson. He just adored Bruce Cockburn. Tell me about this song for you, and tell me about your connection to it.
Right. So the background is you and I said to each other earlier in the week, let's let the message flow from the music, and let's pick songs that are important to us or speak to us spiritually. Let's pick the most important songs that speak to you in that way. And as I said at the start of the service, I had trouble culling it down to 3, so I couldn't, so I did 4. The fifth one was "Come to Jesus" by Mindy Smith, and then I took that one out. And then I thought we might be having a Jesus-free night for the music, but then it popped up in the last song as well,
Right.
and we'll get to that one. But Coburn. So
We try not to have Jesus-free nights.
no, that's right. But I was worried that was going to happen. But no, you got in there. But I mean, I think Christ is in all this music. He's in all these songs. God is in all these songs. Coburn, amazing, innovative guitar player. Somebody whose music I've really loved since he basically came on the scene. And very challenging to cover Bruce Coburn material. The picking style is difficult, and
Yeah, he's quite a virtuoso.
very, very much so. And that particular song, of course, is mostly spoken rather than sung. And then the sung part is too high for me, so I had to do it in falsetto. But I was inspired by Brad last week, who did some falsetto, and so I figured if Brad can carry it off, I'll have a go. But this song, of course, is about the loss of the rainforest, and how we're decimating rainforests around the equatorial regions of the world, mainly for cash, mainly to install planes and plant grain and put cattle in there because of the worldwide demand for beef. I'm not a vegetarian, but this song resonates with me because of the habitat destruction. And as I said to you earlier in the week as well, I think the thread that runs through most of these songs, the ones that I picked for me, is that of stewardship. And so this one is about stewardship of the land.
Yeah.
And the lyrics, I mean, those of you who are at home watching, if you've got the lead sheet, the lyrics, amazing stuff that Coburn wrote these many years ago. Green brain facing lobotomy, ancient court of coexistence hacked by parasitic greed head scam, cortege rhythm of falling timber. And I think, and then there's all the stuff about 1 billion burgers worth of beef and all of that sort of stuff. But I think if there's a verse or a couple of lines in this song that kind of gut punch me or make me sort of want to choke up, it's gravity, light, ancient refuse of stars, speak of a drowning, but this is something other. Busy monster eats dark holes in the spirit world where wild things have to go to disappear forever.
Wow.
When they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. A species every day is being lost forever.
Yeah, and actually, I think that number has gone up.
It probably has.
He's written this.
It probably has.
Like,
and that's not, and it talks about the people who live there as well, because they are displaced also, of course. So that's why that song speaks to me. It's the tremendous loss of so great a resource, and of course, it's not only got to do with trees and cattle. It's got to do with the climate, and it's got to do with greenhouse gases, and it's got to do with all those trees that we need to keep the earth cool, to soak up carbon dioxide and generate oxygen, and we're losing them, and it's part of the whole spectrum of global warming. Warming, I mean.
Yeah, and I like what you said about what is the verse that punches you in the gut or makes you choke up, and both of those things can be good or really upsetting, right?
Like, well, yeah, should
but
be upsetting,
but
right?
it's powerful.
It's a powerful song. It's a song that's meant to to upset you.
And I think it comes at you differently through the avenue of music than it does just hearing
hearing
those
about it,
words
yeah.
spoken. And we talked about this last week too in my interview with Brad, just that way that music can almost like be that direct line to truth, you know, in a way that is so different than speaking.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, that's a message we need to hear right now. So let's hope that song punches us in the gut in all of the most important ways. Yeah.
So you started out with, it's interesting that both of us picked a Brandi Carlile song.
Yeah.
But not that much of a coincidence, because our tastes in music are not vastly different. Both of us are big Brandi Carlile fans. But you picked Most of All, which we, I think, did for the first time during this, I can't say the word, lockdown.
Yeah, July.
We did it in April or May,
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Right, you were off in July.
I think we did it in April or May for the first time. Most of All by Brandi Carlile. It's off her album The Mother, and we'll come to that one in a minute. So tell me what intrigues you or touches you or gut punches you or causes you to get choked up or emotional about this song. There's so much in it.
Yeah. I mean, I consider myself extremely fortunate that both of my parents are still alive. But I have certainly lost people that meant the world to me. And to me, this song speaks of how the ones that we have loved leave an imprint on our lives in a whole bunch of different ways. And of course, in our Christian faith, you know, we believe that death isn't the end. We believe that our loved ones' lives continue in the life of God. We believe in heaven. But it's like God gives us this gift of leaving all of these reminders, like not just stamped on our heart, but like built into our genetics and built into our DNA and built into like just the fiber of our bodies. Like to me, there's both like humor in this song and just profound sentiment as well. Like I love how she talks about like she hasn't heard her mother's voice in a while, and yet she catches herself speaking like her mother all the time.
That's
right?
that's why I more or less demanded to sing that verse, because that resonates with me, because I hear my mother in a lot of the things that I say. That's why I wanted to sing that particular verse.
Yeah. Well, and I got to sing the verse about like every time you look in the mirror, your dad is staring back at you.
Yeah.
And I think the older that I get, the more I see my parents' face in my face. I think it's interesting how, we started with this theme of stewardship, and yet woven into that theme of stewardship is our mortality as well. Like there's this invitation to treat what we have as a precious gift, right? Like that's kind of at the heart of stewardship. Like, are you building up the right kind of treasure? Are you caring for the gifts that have been given to you?
No point in stocking all that weed up in the barn if you're not going to use it for good.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I love all of the like very specific details in this song.
His heavy hands swing at the end of my hang at the end of my arms.
Yeah.
What a great image.
I know, right? Yeah. And it's like all of those little details of the people that you love that you might overlook or even be annoyed by sometimes, and again, like when they're gone, you realize it was all gift. It was all gift. And hopefully you can realize that now. I mean, I think that's the Christian invitation, is like, don't wait.
Yeah.
Don't wait for like tonight your soul is demanded of you. Like, embrace it now. Embrace your loved ones now. Let them put their imprint on your heart now.
I think don't wait to be thankful is a good theme for a lot of what's running through the stuff that we're doing
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
I think that's
Well,
another sub-theme that I hear in all the music.
absolutely. And I mean, it was really strong in this next song next year, right? Like, don't
Yeah.
wait. That's a big theme in
Yeah.
this song.
So this is Donovan Wood's a great singer-songwriter, and he writes amazing stuff. And this particular song really picks up that theme about being thankful, being grateful, and acting now.
Yeah.
People are probably familiar with the Harry Chapin song, "Child Arrived Just the Other Day, Came Into the World in the Usual Way." You know that song. "The Cat's in the Cradle" is the name of the
Right,
title of the song,
yeah,
right?
okay.
About a father's relationship with his son.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I'm not going to sing. I can't sing that song. That's a song that just I can't sing that. Never going to sing that song on stage.
Like, as in, it would be too emotional?
That's too much of a gut punch.
Right.
That one. But next year kind of brings up some of the same themes. But there's redemption at the end of this one.
I know, right?
That's the key thing. You remember "Cats in the Cradle" ends badly. I just realized my son grew up. He's exactly like me.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
disaster, right?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have any time for you, and see you later. We'll get together sometime. And that's just But so in this song, it starts out. He and his father is the recurring theme
Right,
throughout this
yeah.
song.
Yeah.
His brother and he are going to build a treehouse, but Dad was out of work and the truck didn't work, so I couldn't do it. So I'll do it next year. So put everything off until next year. And of course, then they were going to go to Montana fishing, but his dad got sick, so put it off till next year. And but the verse that chokes me up in this one is, "My little boy and me were out to eat." And he said, "I can't wait till next year." Why? Well, because we're going to do all that stuff that you said we were going to do next year. And I'm like, ouch.
Yeah.
We better get on and do some of this stuff, because there ain't no next year.
Yeah.
If we don't act now and realize the gifts that we've been given and do the things that we need to do for our children and for our parents, then we're going to lose the opportunity.
Right,
It's going to be gone, and we're going to be kicking ourselves for the rest of our lives. And then, of course, at the very end, his dad wants to go and see the Grand Canyon. So just throw it all in, go, get in the car, drive all night, call in sick to work. I don't care. We're doing it.
There's no next year.
There's no next year.
Yeah.
There's no next year. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So I like this song because of the things that it says, the things that it points up, the need to be in the moment and grateful and thankful, and to do the things that you need to do with the people that you love now, and not put it off, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I like the way it ends.
Yeah.
So thanks, Donovan, for getting me out of a jam.
I like that too. I like the movement in the song. I like that there's a chance to learn a lesson, and I like the way that the dad is woven through it as well. Yeah, I didn't know this song before tonight, and it's new for Advent Cafe too. So maybe we'll put it into the roster.
It's a song that we've done in Roadshow for a few years, and Joyce Wilton, who sings in Roadshow, is Donovan Wood's cousin. So that's
Okay.
So we contacted Donovan and kind of got permission to do it.
Nice, nice.
So then you went to your strength, Leonard
To my
Cohen.
strength. Yeah.
If it be your will.
Yep.
So, of course, a beautiful song, and gentle but powerful, very powerful. Tell me about what draws you to this song, Martha.
Yeah, well, you know how like people remember where they were when 9/11 happened, and I remember vividly where I was when Princess Diana died. And like you remember kind of those big momentous occasions, collective occasions. Well, like I also remember exactly where I was and exactly how I felt the first time I heard a Leonard Cohen song. And like gut punch is exactly it. So picking one Leonard Cohen song is an impossible task. So you just did it for me. You picked If It Be Your Will. I could have, picked one of however many songs Leonard Cohen has written, and probably would have named it as spiritually significant to me. But this one is definitely in the top of the top pack. And I think for me, it starts in that very opening line, if it be your will that I speak no more. And this is coming from, one of the great voices, and I don't mean that he was like the best singer of all time, but one of the great
Certainly
voices.
One of the greatest songwriters of all time.
He's. I would say he's, one of the great lyricists of all time.
Yes.
Has just made such an important contribution to the songwriting canon, and for him to like name that prayer of utter surrender, like to me that is a prayer of utter surrender. Like even God, if it's your will to take away my voice, like I'll speak no more. I'll just abide. I'll just wait. Like I know that you're holding me. Like I by no means do I frequently succeed in this kind of spiritual surrender, because I don't. I spend a lot of my life just like being a ball of thinking I'm in control and wanting things to go a certain way and wanting certain outcomes. But this is the ultimate prayer. Like this is the ultimate spiritual maturity, but it's also the ultimate truth of our lives, which is like, I don't make my own heartbeat. Like, I didn't create myself. Like, I am in the hands of God each and every second of my life, moment to moment. And, I live so much of my life as if I'm this autonomous being who's in control and power. But this is actually...
But it ain't true.
It's not true. It's not true. And, like, there is freedom in coming back to that truth.
In recognizing it.
Yeah, surrender. That surrender. God, I'm in your hands. And, I hear underlying in this song, it's not exactly named, and I mean, Leonard Cohen is so good at like naming the brutalities of life as well. But there's this underlying sense of like God's care and love for us. That's what allows that surrender to happen.
This is another song that kind of comes together at the end. Draw us near, bind us tight.
Yeah.
All your children here in their rags of light.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're sometimes dressed up to kill, but we're actually your children.
Your children, yeah.
And hold us close. Yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those ones that if I am not careful, I wouldn't be able to get through that one either, for sure. So we, as you already said, we both picked a Brandi Carlile song, and they're both from the same album.
Yes,
they're from her magnificent
Yep.
masterpiece of an album, which I think was from 2 years ago. By the way, I Forgive You. Check it out. Tell me about the mother.
I heard this song on the it's not radio, a playlist, Spotify or something at the office, just in the background one
Right.
day. And of course, it's easy to recognize Brandy Carlisle. She's got a very unique voice, and I love Brandy Carlisle. Did some of her early stuff years ago, but the line I think that cut through, it made me sort of sit up. I can't remember what I was doing, writing a chart or something, and then all of a sudden I heard, the first things that she took from me were selfishness and sleep. She broke 1,000 heirlooms I was never meant to keep. She filled my life with color, canceled plans, and trashed my car. But none of that is ever who we are. Outside my windows are the mountains and the snow. I hold you while you're sleeping, and I wish that I could go. All my rowdy friends are out accomplishing their dreams, but I am the mother of Evangeline.
Yeah.
And that just kind of went, oh my goodness. And all the lyrics are incredible, about fighting the power and they can keep their treasure and their ties to the machine and all of that kind of stuff. But it was that I hold you while you're sleeping, and all my rowdy friends are, they have their coffee and their time and the skeptics and the wine and all of that kind of. So all of that goes on.
Yeah.
But I have a child now, and that is so special. And so that really struck me. I'm like, holy smokes, what an amazing lyric. And then, of course, by that time the song was over, and what happened there? So I had to go find it and look it up. And, it's obviously sung from a mother's perspective, and I never have, nor will I ever have the experience of being a mother. And I know it's not the same as being a father, but I don't know whether it's fair game to sing a song that is sung from the perspective of a mother, but what the heck? It speaks to
Yeah.
me. So I thought that's a song that I need. That's a song that I need to sing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, of course you can,
Yeah.
of course
Well,
you can sing it from
But what a precious God-given resource a child is, and how it so changes your life, and the amazing color that a child brings into your life, whether it's a daughter or a son, or in my case a grandson.
Yeah, grandson.
Right,
now.
and how amazing is that, and all that other stuff, the coffee and the wine and all that sort of that's sort of all secondary.
Yeah.
Most important thing is the child.
I love though that it's not saccharine at all. Is that the right word? Like it's
Yeah.
not like sickly sentimental.
Nope.
Like
In fact, it's a bit defiant.
Yeah, and you kind of hear that, those moments as a parent where you do kind of wish that you were out doing something else, that you kind of look back fondly on your days when your life was a little less tethered, and I think her honesty about that makes it easier then to also enter into the ultimate insight of this song, which is, but this is the gift.
Yeah.
I get to be part of.
Yep, they can keep their treasure and their ties to the machine because
Yeah.
I am the mother of
Yeah.
Evangeline.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's the most important thing.
And I've reflected on this often as a mother, that it actually is the only role in my life where I'm actually indispensable. You really are dispensable in any other of the things that you're doing maybe, but I'm the mother of my kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty hard for anyone else to fill that role.
Yeah. I definitely I find this song really gut punches me as well. Even from the opening line, "Welcome to the end of being alone inside your mind."
Right. Yeah. It's not all about me anymore.
It's not all about me anymore, and it probably never was, And I think that's the interesting thing too about this song, again, it's like so specific about her own experience, and there's so many specific details. That's what makes the song so great. But I think whether you're a parent or not, like, there's very much a message here that is a takeaway, right? Like, that there's an invitation here to kind of look again at the ways in which we're bound to the people around us, and you know, how you're being asked to be present to them.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
So, if we were vampires, was one of your selections, and we've done some Jason Isbell stuff, and we've been doing this song for a couple of years, and I know that you brought it to the band and suggested that we do it. So tell me about it. It's a great song, and talks about the future and the fact that you know, maybe we'll get 40 years together, but one day one of us is going to be gone and the other one's going to be alone, at least for a period of time. But it's a great song, a little bit sexy, and a little bit frightening. Maybe time running out as a gift. Tell me what spoke to you in this song, Martha.
Yeah, it's that line that I'm again, it's like all of the very careful details, all the specific things within this, you know, more universal message. But that line particularly, maybe time running out is a gift. Like, the whole song is about, if we had all the time in the world, like, if we were eternal beings, right? Like, if we were vampires, if we were these mythical, non-mortal creatures, then would we treasure the moments, or would we just kind of toss it off? Because, you know, we've got all the time in the world. I think one of the things for us as Christians is that, like, we do believe in eternal life, but we also believe you don't have forever in this life. You know, I mean, we know we don't have forever in this life. We know that we believe there's a next life, but the finite nature of this life isn't purely a bad thing. And yeah, you're right. Like, there's sadness in this song. There's maybe fear in this song, and also there's this like treasure it. Just treasure it. Make sure we keep coming back to
that same theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
treasure.
The same as, yeah.
That's the right treasure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the last one is Peter's Dream.
Peter's Dream. So Lenny Gallant from Prince Edward Island, and this is a song that I learned about this time last year. And I actually heard someone else do it, and then I kind of looked it up and heard Lenny Gallant's version of it. I've never heard Lenny do it live, although he still does do it live. But I guess if we've talked about like stewardship of the land, we've talked about stewardship of our family, stewardship of time. And this one's about stewardship of the sea.
Yeah.
And the way that we have mishandled the fisheries over the years, overfishing. We knew it was coming, says the songwriter. Could see it coming years ago. Nobody did anything about it. Why didn't we do something? You know, the greedy ships were bigger and bigger, and the sonar told them where to get the fish. And so basically it's fished out. And now we've lost a way of life. We've lost what drew us together as a community in the fishing village. And what are we going to do? What's left? What are we going to do now?
Yeah.
You know, what about this boat? What about the piano I had? What about my father's bones that are buried here on this island?
Yeah.
What do we do about all that stuff? It's all gone because we screwed up.
Yeah.
And of course, great imagery about the party. Someone sings a sea shanty. Someone tells a joke. Someone asks for a smoke, and then he goes, gets a shotgun, and basically blasts 16 holes in his boat and sinks it in the harbor.
Right.
Because what else am I going to do with this boat now? And that's the kind of like the tragic thing. But again, the gut punching image is last night. I dreamt that I was sailing on the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah.
And we cast our nets out on the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me. So, amidst the sort of loss and mishandling of what's going on, there's this image of Jesus fishing, and it's a bit, maybe a little bit forlorn, maybe a little bit hopeful, maybe a little bit nostalgic, but it's a powerful image of the songwriter fishing on the Sea of Galilee with Jesus in his boat.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of talked about that in next year as well, but to me, that's like the redemption in the song. That's the pointing backward and forward. That's the bigger picture. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's I kind of feel, as you know, I have a place in Prince Edward Island, and I kind of wasn't able to get there this summer, obviously, for reasons that we're not naming tonight. But I kind of feel a pull toward the East Coast. I guess if you have to ask me if I identified with one coast more than the other, it'd be the East Coast for me because of not only the geography of it, but the people who are there that I've gotten to know, and the beauty of the sea, and the fish and the whales and all the seals and all the stuff that's there, and how people's lives have been so impacted by the loss of the fishery.
Right.
And in some areas, towns, villages gone, closed up, people gone, nothing to do, no work left. Young people, no future left, have left the island. Or I'm not talking about Prince Edward Island particularly, but certainly a lot of villages in the East Coast, and fishing villages in Newfoundland, ghost towns now, things like that, where all of your resources were dependent on the sea, and now guess what? There's nothing left. But not only that, how do we prevent it from getting worse? Because it's not totally gone.
Right.
It can recover. It's recovered to some extent, to a limited extent. But there's other things that we are about to screw up if we're not careful. Whales are becoming extinct. Some of the pods of right whales are very small now, and they're being killed by boats and things like that. So how do we intervene?
Right.
The lobster fishery is pretty good, but there's issues in the lobster fishery as well. Coral reefs, we're killing them.
Yeah.
Not so much an issue in Prince Edward Island, not a lot of coral reefs out there, but certainly in the tropics.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to stewardship of our planet and of the sea, and we're throwing garbage in the water, and we're doing all of these things that are just destroying the great resource that is our ocean. So that's part of that, but. Yeah, the image of Jesus in the boat pulling the nets in with me, somebody by my side to help me out in my dream.
Yeah.
Jesus is pulling the nets in. We throw our nets out in the water, and Jesus has helped me pull them in.
Well, and I think kind of that piece about, okay, so what's next? Like, we haven't been careful with something, and we're in trouble. But discernment is needed about what we do next. And I think all of these pieces that we've talked about are so connected, right? Like, I think that there's a message. I think there is a gut punch, and then there's the need to find a way forward. And I'm glad that we ended with that image of Jesus pulling the net in with us, because I mean, we're here in this space of worship, and we're here as leaders in our church, and that's that companionship of God, that desire of God to be alongside us and figuring it out, like that has to be part of the way forward. That has to be the way forward.
I think that's a good image to finish with,
Yeah.
as you said. Yeah. Yep. We cast our nets on the water, and Jesus pulled them in with me.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Brian.
thank you, Martha. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you, and thank you, Scott, for being our eye on the live stream tonight.
I'll eat my last half a butter tart now.
Yes, I'm excited to finish my butter tart and wash my sticky hands.
Thanks, Martha. Yep, good.
Good.
Is that all right?